Recording in progress. Those are my favorite words. We're here tonight with Jason Taylor from The Obsessed. What a fucking great album Gilded Sorrow is, dude.
No, thanks, bro.
Dude, wow. Um, so thanks. I greatly appreciate you, taking time out of your night to come hang out and chat and
Probably.
hell yeah. So my question, how'd you hook up with The Obsessed?
So in 2016 or 17, when they reunited, my band Sierra got the call to open for them. It wasn't that simple actually. The Atomic Bitchwax were touring with them and Carmen de Burn, and then I think about 5 shows in, someone in the Atomic Bitchwax broke their arm, so they were scrambling to get a support band. So we were on the same booking agency, and we got a call. We had just done a short run with Weed Eater, like 4 or 5 Canadian shows, and I was like still in my underwear at home. Just got off that road, and I checked my email. I was like, "Can you get to Chicago now for the next 5 weeks?" And the drummer we had at the time wasn't sure if he could do it or not, but we're like, "Dude, we're showing up at your door. You're going on the road no matter what." And we didn't have the paperwork or anything, so we kind of we just had to like try basically. And I was either I'm either going on the tour with The Obsessed for 5 weeks, or I'm turning around and going home. And the guard was originally not going to let us through because we didn't have the paperwork and all that stuff. And I was like, "Please, sir, like this is our dream. Please let us go." You know what I mean? Just pulling on the sympathy card or whatever. And we waited for like an hour, and then he came up and he says, "Next time, have your paperwork." And then I was like, "Oh, thank you, sir," and like went to shake his hand. He wouldn't shake my hand or anything, but he let me through. And then I was on the road with The Obsessed, and me and Wino hit it off, became good friends. And yeah, we talked about jamming for since that tour on. And I even like wrote him a note saying, "Hey, if you ever need a guitar player, I know it's like a 3-piece, but I'm the guy. I love your music. I always envisioned playing with Wino." So I just kind of put it in his ear, and that 5 years later, I got the call. So
Fuck yeah. Well, congratulations.
thank you.
It's always cool when you're like, oh, I really like this. I want to go and do that. And it comes to fruition, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So when did the writing of Gilded Sorrow start?
Um, well, funny enough, Daughter of an Echo, he actually gave that to me, the original demo of that, years ago, like way, way before I joined the band. Because I think that was the first thing that he had written for the album. And so I knew that song pretty well. But the actual writing, I think it would have been after the second tour. We did the 2 tours, and then there was a 14-day, 2-week period where it was just me and Wino at his house, and he had a ton of ideas, but I brought over the computer and stuff like that, and we like went deep into demoing, and that was cool, man. Honestly, like in my time in The Obsessed, that was probably like one of my favorite times. Was just those like 2 weeks, just like locked in this place in the Catskills, and just working out all the tunes and stuff and making the demos for everyone.
Hell
That
yeah.
was so, but what was it? Um Everything except for Jaylene and Yen's Sleep was done in that session. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
Well, and the way it starts with Daughter of an Echo is like, boom, it just grabs you and you're like, okay, I absolutely need to stay until the end to
yeah.
see what else is there, like,
Cool.
and as a whole, like, me and a buddy of mine, we were on the listening party before it was released, and to, be able to hear it in its entirety, we're just sitting there like, holy shit, dude, this is so fucking good.
Yeah. Those were cool. I've never experienced one of those before. I had no idea what we were getting into when we signed up for the listening party or whatever, but it was a cool experience, like getting to be there with everyone while as it's happening, even if it's just through texting.
Yeah.
Because we've sat with it, for a year or whatever, but everyone else's first response, like immediately, was a really good, satisfying way to release an album. I think all bands should do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think to be able to see the reaction and hear the reaction from the fans as soon as it comes out is like overwhelming, you know,
Yeah,
or
totally. It was a magical moment.
hell yeah, that's awesome. So, you know, I notice a lot talking to musicians that there are always these magical moments, for lack of a better term, right? Like the listening party, like sitting there with Wino for 2 weeks and demoing all the material and,
Yeah.
you know, going through that. Is there a stage that you've played where you were like, "Ooh, I never thought I would play this place"?
Um, yeah, oh, Hellfest was like that for sure. Because Hellfest was like one of those ones I always wanted to play with my previous band. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So that was cool. Um, Other ones that stood out, I think definitely like playing in countries where they don't speak the same language is a cool trip that I've never experienced before. Well, not in the same way at least. When we just played Greece, that was an overwhelming show for sure. Just like it was a completely different atmosphere. And the crowd, you know what I mean? They were singing the lyrics more than English speaking countries, you know what I mean? And
Hell yeah.
it was, you know, things like that. And I'd always wanted to go to Greece, so that was a trip for me. Um, yeah, there's been lots though. Um,
That's cool as shit, right? Like to see the different crowds in different countries and how they actually react,
yeah,
you know?
totally.
Uh,
And then even like with the demos, not the demos, sorry, the singles that had just been released, then seeing them sing those words of, you know, from an album that's not even out yet too, that was really cool. Um, and the street people are awesome.
hell yeah.
They're like had like almost like a soccer hooliganism vibe to their rowdiness. It was
Uh,
good.
hell hell yeah. Gets a little rowdy, you're like,
Yeah,
yeah, you know.
sure.
I'm sure that's, you know, that's super cool. Something I've never, you know, not experienced. I could only imagine to be, you know, in another country and to have them start
Mm,
singing, you know, something that you've written that hasn't really been out there for a while is like, ooh, hell yeah.
yeah, it was cool. Where are you at, by the way?
So I live in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, nice. Cool.
And you?
Kitchener, Ontario, some an hour south of Toronto, in
Okay.
Canada. Yeah.
So I grew up in Detroit and we used to go over to
There.
London.
Oh,
Yeah.
London. Cool. So I'm an
Yep.
hour north of that, hour south of Toronto.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Same.
not
Yeah.
probably like 2 hours away from where I was at ish. It's not too bad. So do you find it like traveling back and forth to the US, do you find you have a lot of problems at the border or is it typically pretty easy?
It's harder coming home. They just assume I'm up to no good when I'm in the States or something. They're always searching my car. But Americans are great. Like at the Buffalo border, they're always like, "Oh, you're a musician?" And they'll say, "Oh yeah, I play." And they'll tell me about their guitar collections or like something, you know, cool and chill. But coming back home, the Canadians like rip apart everything. So no, it's easy going to the States, hard coming home. As long as you have your paperwork, I have to get the visa and all that shit. But I
Yeah,
just do it here and forget about it. So it's good.
that's funny. Damn. It's funny. You're like, I'm trying to come back home, and they're like,
Yeah,
no, we want to make sure. Damn,
yeah.
I didn't put anything in my butt, I swear. Um, so you guys have a run coming up soon, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're going out with Howling Giant and Gazoo.
Hell yeah.
We good. So the album's out and first tour with the album will be great. And I
That
actually know the Howling Giant guys from when I was in Sierra too, so it's cool. We played with them a couple times in Europe on the last European tour as well. They're awesome, man. I love their vibe.
yeah.
Like very like adventure rock meets prog, but you know, solid dudes and solid players. It's gonna be fun.
So I've not seen Howling Giant before. One of my buddies is putting on a festival in Lexington called Legalize Lex, and Giant's headlining it. So I'm pretty excited to go check them out.
Yeah, be great. Cool.
I think the closest you guys are coming is Chicago, maybe.
Reggie's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike. Like, I wonder if I could make that trip.
Should.
If I can make it work, because I've like everyone, I've got a day job, but I've got a couple of businesses that I run, and then my wife works, and we've
Right.
got kids, so it's like
A
if
lot
she
going on.
like Slayer just announced that they're playing a couple of shows.
Yeah, I seen that. I didn't dig too deep into it though, but I always thought it was bullshit. But
Well, I did at first. I was like, there's no way, but then you read the whole situation, and when they were retiring, they specifically said we're retiring from touring,
uh,
right?
this
So
is
that
one.
yeah, just a couple of one-offs here and there, and I'm like, I'm good with it. Like I really
Yeah,
dig those dudes.
and that's a cool father-daughter bonding moment at Slayer.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, yeah,
Gee,
like when they were here last, it was Slayer, Ministry, Primus, and Phil Anselmo and the Illegals, right?
oh yeah,
So after the Illegals got off, I take her to the bathroom, and she's over here like respect, walk, and I'm like, fuck yeah,
sweet.
you know.
uh,
So we just try to do a lot of shows, stay active.
mhm. Cool, man.
Um,
Great.
what what hopes over the next like year for the album and the band do you have?
Um, what hopes? Just touring as much as possible for me. I like being on the road and hopefully get some time to write the new one. It's funny when it's the same with everyone, but you write an album, it takes however long. You've already rehearsed those. Not that I'm sick of them or anything, but they exist. They've been recorded, and then there's that huge wait for the label and everything to get made. So it's fresh to everyone else, but I'm totally ready to write another one now. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's it. Just do it again.
Hell yeah.
With the state of the world and everything, Wino always says he's been saying it forever, but like especially since I joined the band, but we got to get one more record in. You know what I mean? Things are going, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, as he says. You know, but now that I said it, I'm like, okay, let's squeeze another one in there too. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah.
does look that way. Things are getting fucking crazy now. I better find a way to become a permanent resident in the states, or or I might be like locked out from my band. You know what I mean? So
Nah, no, we're screwed up over here, but we're never
yeah,
gonna lock anyone out. We're gonna let everyone in.
you might want to keep us Canadians out. Our country's going to shit as well. So
Listen, we literally let anyone in. It's like, yeah, whatever. We don't care that you've killed 30 people. Come on.
I guess that's right. Yeah,
The beauty of America. But I'm talking shit like it's a bad place, but I I love it here,
no,
you
it's a
know.
beautiful place. Yeah, everywhere. There's so many different types of places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Such a huge diverse geography.
Yep. Mountains, you've got urban, the rural,
Yeah,
literally everything you want. And to be in some of the metropolises, LA and New York and Detroit and Chicago, and just to see the mix of people, it's so diverse, especially at shows, right?
yeah, totally. I find that just like the Northeast state, even something like Maine, I go there, I'm like, oh, this is like the nicest place ever. I could totally live here. But then, then you're in the desert in Joshua Tree or something like that. And the same vibes
Yeah.
of I want to live here, but a completely different vibe altogether. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
America's all.
Yeah, it's super cool. If, and I feel like that's why obviously why a lot of people want to come to the US, right? They're like, oh man, it's so cool here. And as a lot of us that are always here are I don't want to say jaded, but you kind of get glassy eyed, and you're like, what's so great about it?
Yeah.
You know? It's like being trying to be a tourist in your own town. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of things there you're not really seeing until you seek them out, like you would if you were just visiting for a couple of days.
Yeah, totally.
So where is like your favorite place to tour?
Um, I mean, Europe is pretty great. I've, you know, the vibe there is awesome. Just in the crowds, well, everything about Europe, right? It's for the same reasons. I mean, but there is a special vibe to the American tours as well. Um, I would say the best times I've had since joining was probably those first couple of US tours, just because of the excitement of everything, and we were writing an album and all that. So um, from like personal memories and stuff, like the US tours. But I mean, nothing beats the European hospitality. The way they treat bands there is like on a different level.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but no, I'm really excited to go back on a North American run. Um, we have issues getting into Canada, so it looks like that's not happening, at least in the next 10 years or so, with the Obsessed. So I should probably just say US tour, not North American.
Yeah. Yeah. Still part of North America.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucked, man, when we got stopped. We thought it was all going to be good, but it was like I came across actually to pick Chris up because we had like a 3-seater van.
Mhm.
So I crossed the border into the States just for half an hour to grab him. And then we were all going to come back in convoy, but then we got stopped. So it was just like, I hadn't seen the guys in weeks, right? So we like met up. Hey, how's it going? You know, in the parking lot. It's going to be fun. All right, come on. I'll take you to Canada, sort of thing. Get stopped at the thing. We get turned around. And I'm just like, see you guys. It's like the saddest, the saddest moment ever. I'm just like, okay, there's my band. They're touring, going around. I'm just going back home. So yeah,
Wah, wah.
it sucked.
Yeah. Well, that sucks. Hopefully you guys don't have to wait 10 years to get back in.
Yeah.
Hold on, my cat is trying to chew my cord. Stop. Um, she's needy.
Oh, nice.
Hi. She's like, just love me. I know you're hanging out and doing something, but I'm here too. I'm like, all right. So do you have any animals?
Nope. It's just myself in a basement apartment.
All right. That's it's better than having animals sometimes. I promise.
Yeah.
We've got 3 pit bulls and a cat.
Oh, nice.
And my wife says, we should get another one. And I'm like, well, no, no, like I love them and I don't want to get rid of them, but when they're gone, can we have some time without animals?
Right. I grew up with the boxer. It was like the greatest animal ever. They looked mean when you're walking them, so like the droopy, cheeks would go up and they kind of had this snarl. But when they're lying around the house, they're just big sucks.
Yeah.
What's it like with pit bulls? Are they as chill as the owners say, or what's your experience with them?
I mean, so the oldest one is she'll be 12 in May. She whines a lot. People come in the house and she'll lick you to death, right? There's never any with her, there's never any concern on if she's going to be aggressive or not.
Mhm.
Um, the other two, let's see, the next one is she's probably about a year younger. And she's our grouchy old lady. She's got bad hips and
Mm.
she barks at everyone, but if you just kind of stare at her hard, she'll pee. And then the youngest one, she's 4 or 5. Uh, I think she'll be 5 this year. She's she's just like a happy-go-lucky dog, like,
Mm.
huh, people pet me, love me. Uh, oh, you're new, so I'll bark at you for a second, and then, can I lay my head in your lap?
Right.
Um, but yeah, overall they're pretty chill. Um, I think I think a lot of that has to do with how they're raised,
Right. Yeah.
like same thing with kids, right? If you raise them to be assholes, they're going to be assholes.
Yeah. If you're an asshole, your kid's probably an asshole as well.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so what are what was when you guys started recording the new album, what was that process like for you guys?
We started with Frank at a studio in where was that again? In Delaware. And it was a big fancy studio. And probably the nicest studio I've ever been to. And that was cool. They had rooms for you in a separate building, and there was an RV and stuff. We kind of camped out there, and they gave the keys to us, which was amazing. So we actually were able to jam. I was like, okay, I'm not going to sleep the entire time I'm here. So we were just like, up all night recording, playing, or not recording. We were just like playing and stuff like that. So it was a really cool vibe. But we didn't quite get everything done, and then we ended up at Frank's own studio in Maryland. And how many songs do we have? I think there was 3 extra songs or something like that didn't end up on the album, but it wasn't quite completed. So then we ended up coming back months later to Frank's digital studio again, and we just stayed there and we got it all done. So there was like 3 different phases, I guess, like the big studio, Frank's, and then another time at Frank's. So it was chopped up in that sense, but it was fun, man. Like it was a really good recording experience. Everything went off without a hitch in a sense. So
Right
it was
on.
cool.
Well, I feel like, if you have the ability to kind of come and go as you please, at the studio, so you can go in and jam, it really helps you hash out some of the songs.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't quite that. It was still like we're here for this amount of time. We just like to play a lot, so we were jamming in the off time as well. But it was still scheduled, and we were prepared. I'll give us that. Like from the demoing sessions I did with Wino to us all getting together as a band. That's the thing about us, right? We all live in different places. Like I'm 6 hours away. We all meet in Wino, so I'm 6 hours north, and I think Brian is exactly 6 hours south, and then Chris is all the way in Florida. So if we get together, not that it's like completely rushed or like a problem or anything, but it is like, we're here to do a job, so we get it done in that time. So we're kind of used to that. So like on Monday, I'm going down and we're shooting a music video with a cool guest spot from an actor. So we're going to go meet him on Monday, and then all the band's meeting up for about a week. So it'll be a week of getting the band back together, and then jamming, and then we're right on the road. So the same thing happened with the recording as well. You know what I mean? It would have been whatever it was at the time, and then we go into the studio. So yeah, we were well rehearsed and we knew what we wanted to do, and we got it done for the most part. But listening back, there were certain things that we wanted to change. And I think we added a song. No, we took away songs. We were like, these ones we'll use them on a later date. It didn't quite fit the vibe of Gilded Sorrow. But it all worked out. I mean, it's 2 sides of about 16 minutes, and that's like kind of exactly where you want things to be, even for production, right? You don't want it to be too long. And so I think it's, if you look at any of the albums in the 70s, that's pretty much what it was, right? About 16 minutes aside.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of that
Or
revolves.
were they longer? And now we do that. I don't know.
So I feel like it's kind of ebbed and flowed, right? There was a time in the 70s where you had the shorter, like 30 to 40-minute albums, and then maybe that was like early 70s, and then as you got a little later, they got longer. Maybe I have it backwards.
Yeah, because that was the thing, was that when I was in the band before was a bit more progressive. So like I'm really into prog rock. So a lot of the guys from the 70s are huge heroes of mine. So when I think of something like Foxtrot by Genesis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That has side 2, which has Horizons, which is a little classical thing, which is like 2 minutes, plus the song Supper's Ready, which is like 24 minutes. But now at modern day presses, they're telling you have to keep it to like 16 minutes. So I don't know. Never mind that last comment. I think I'm wrong in my facts there. I think the 70s they didn't care. They just put whatever they wanted on there.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think that a lot of it had to do with like band and style of music, because when you look
Yeah.
at a lot of the punk from the 70s, you're looking at minute and a half, 2 minute songs, right? So they were a lot shorter and a lot faster. And then,
Yeah.
and that, and then you're right, when you get more into the prog stuff, it's longer songs, so you're going to have more time on the albums. And that's where I think most of the timing comes from, is what's it going to sound like on the vinyl.
Yeah, it's the size of the grooves and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But for modern day purposes, we made it a perfect length of an album.
rock and
So
roll.
yeah.
And it's a great album. So have you, excuse me, have you started like stacking riffs away for the next album?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a log of riffs. Um, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And with, with the songs that you guys decided not to put on the album, is there plans to do, a lot of bands do like singles and they have a B-side.
Yeah. I imagine there'll be something like that. We'll, maybe do a split with someone. There's already been a few talks about that. Um, so we have songs for that if that comes up.
Right on. Well, hopefully that comes up, because it's always cool to release more music.
Yeah, for sure.
So for you, like what started you, what piqued your interest to start playing music?
Um, well, I got into guitar, and my parents are both from England, and they came to Canada. So when they came, they didn't bring their record collection. So I guess you know, they started from scratch with CDs. So I, I I always remember that one kind of like plastic CD tower, and it just had a couple of my mom's and a couple of my dad's. So those albums are really iconic to me. It was like my mom had like, I don't know, Meatloaf and the Phantom of the Opera like soundtrack or whatever, and then my dad had AC/DC, Dirty Deeds, Back in Black, and I'm not sure whose it was, but it was Rush, Permanent Waves. So those albums really, and also if you want blood by AC/DC, like I still remember being a young kid and looking at that CD where he's like stabbed with the guitar,
Yeah.
and not understanding special effects. I was just like so creeped out by that cover. Then on the back it's like stabbed in a different way, and I remember my head going through like, how did he get stabbed at both sides? It doesn't make any sense. But so those albums were played a lot, and then eventually I got a guitar, and then I heard Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. Actually, there was this long drive to my grandparents' house, also in Canada, through this forest, and then we have a Mennonite community around here. So in the which is like the Amish or whatever. So in the middle of this forest, there's this Mennonite graveyard, and I always was creeped out by it. At night it was really foggy and stuff. You see it through the trees with the gravestones and all that. And my dad knew about this, like my fear of the place, and that song happened to be on the radio, and it timed out perfectly. Like he's like, "Oh God, please help me" or whatever. My dad just cranks it and he turns into the graveyard. It was just like the creepiest moment ever. And I was like, Dad, get us out of here, probably basically crying, you know what I mean? And but when you're a kid and you see The Exorcist for the first time and you're hooked,
Yep.
and it scares the shit out of you, but you can't go to sleep, but you're still hooked. I think that's what that effect was with me with metal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think my dad told me that was Ozzy Osbourne. So I remember I won an Ozzy CD. I'm like probably like 10 at this point. I really wanted that, and I was searching for that song and I couldn't find it. And it wasn't until a little bit later I realized that was his first band, Black Sabbath, and that started my whole Black Sabbath trip. And then yeah, so that's kind of what got me in those key moments. Yeah. But yeah, So it was kind of cool. It was like, the first heavy metal song, if you want to call it that, that really like got me going just by being terrified,
Hell,
trying to get out of a
well,
graveyard in the middle of a forest.
well, if the metal doesn't scare you, is it really metal?
Right.
So, okay, Black Sabbath, Ozzy or Dio?
Ozzy. Yeah. But I do love Dio. I'm not one of those purists. Those albums are amazing, heaven and hell. But it's like one of those things. It's like, for me at least, if I want Sabbath, I'm going to listen to Ozzy
Ozzy.
Sabbath. But when I want to listen to Heaven and Hell, nothing else will satisfy other than Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
And I like the first few Dio albums at least. And yeah, even the time Doug Aldridge was in the band, he was a great player, great time, more for like the live videos that we have of that era. But yeah, anything Dio touched was great.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Dio. And I was, for a lot of years, I was like, Sabbath with Dio is not Sabbath, but
Right.
I've recently
And
probably
it's not though. It's not that. You know what I mean?
it's not Ozzy Sabbath for sure,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It
You're
it
looking for something else there.
yeah. Yeah, it's a very different feel, sound, aesthetic.
Mhm.
Um and uh, and it is good in its own right. I just started really digging into like Dio era Sabbath a few years ago, and I'm like, okay, like I don't know what I was thinking. I should have been listening to this,
Mhm.
a long time ago. But I was, I love Rainbow. I love Dio as himself.
Yeah,
Just he's got a voice like no other.
for sure.
So is there a band that, aside from the Obsessed, that you've wanted to share a stage with uh, that you have, that you were like, holy shit, like this moment was amazing?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch throughout the years. Like even when I was in Sierra, the band before, the first real big moment with that was playing with Kylesa, and then Philip Cope from Kylesa was our he started producing our albums, but he ended up being our manager. Like he really took us under his wing. But that all started just from me being a fan, you know what I mean? And the fan of Baroness and the Red album. When I started looking at the liner notes and I seen that, Baroness was produced by Philip Cope, who was from Kylesa, and they all recorded at the Jam Room. It all made sense to me. I was like, okay, that's where I need to be. You know what I mean? So that first tour was definitely like that for sure. And then along the way, there was different things like Sierra. I think it was our last show we ever did. We opened for Queensryche out of nowhere, which was for a bunch of prog metal nerds. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Who else? We opened for Captain Beyond. I know it's not the original band by any means, but it's the drummer Bobby Caldwell. And to me, that's one of the best albums that's ever been recorded and ever will be recorded. It's that first Captain Beyond album. It's
Okay.
just like music perfected. Um, so that was cool. Yeah, one real cool show that we did was the what was it called again? Snowblind Fest in Atlanta, Georgia, and that was us, the Obsessed, Fine Fire, Pentagram, Mothership, um, and a bunch of other bands. So that was a Weed Eater was there too, so that was a really cool one.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, that sound fucking stacked.
yeah, it was. I'm surprised it wasn't an earthquake or something.
Yeah.
It was a yeah, it was a great concert.
Ah, man. God, I'd love to see that, Bill.
Yeah,
Let's make that happen again.
yeah, it was great.
What's been your like favorite band to see live?
Favorite band to see live? One of the best shows I ever seen was, and I love the band too. But it was Black Mountain at this bar in Toronto called the Horseshoe. It was just like one of those nights where everything was just like absolutely perfect. Um, just seeing those guys play that stage, that I'll always remember that as like one of the best shows. It's just like a completely magical evening. I think they were on like the 10-year anniversary of their first album. That was a really cool show. But yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Ooh. So, like you, there's a lot. My big band and little band, my probably my top three live show memories are seeing Black Sabbath on the End tour, because
Yeah,
it's the only time I ever saw him, and Ozzy sounded so freaking good.
yeah,
Uh, I was in awe because that's like I grew. Some of the earliest heavy metal I remember was Paranoid and Iron Man, and
yeah.
like holy shit. Iron Maiden
Oh, yeah,
was another one, and that one's special because that's a memory I share with my little brother who passed away a few years ago.
cool. You got to see it together, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, we went 2016 or 2017. I went up to Detroit, and it was me, my best friend, his wife, and my little brother. So it was just really cool to share that.
Oh, that's great, man.
Uh, and we always like Foo Fighters. They Every time you see them live, I feel like they just always put on an amazing live show. Uh,
Right.
and for us, like that's our like family band. If they come around, the whole family piles in. We are for sure going.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen them before, but cool.
Yeah, yeah, great. It's just a great show. So the Obsessed is tour in the US. Are you guys doing Europe this year?
Yep, we're doing Europe in August. I don't have all the details, but little shows are popping up here and there. We know we're going in August. We're doing Sonic Blast has been announced in Portugal, and High and Fire is one of the bands playing. Truck Fighters, Thousand Mods, which others, Viagra Boys, which is an interesting mix with those bands. But
Yeah.
mm,
There's a band out of Belgium called Fire Down Below.
mm,
They are fantastic. Uh, Hopefully you guys get to play a show with them. Uh,
Fire
just
Down Below.
Yeah, they what do they call it? They call it stoner rock mixed with psych and like surf.
Okay,
It's
nice.
a it's a good mix, and it's real palatable. I say real palatable. It like grabs you by the balls and says, "You're going with us." And you're like, "Okay, that's cool."
Cool.
Um what what's been your favorite festival experience so far?
The favorite festival, I mean, Hellfest was cool just in the sense of it was Hellfest, and this is, the grandiosity of it and all that. But for me, it was Freak Valley Festival. And I'll explain the difference. It was like when I went to Freak Valley Festival, it was maybe, I don't know, let's say it was 1,000 people there compared to the 9,000 or whatever we're at the Hellfest stage. But at Freak Valley, it was like almost like going back in time to like what I imagined Woodstock or some shit would be like. You know what I mean? They actually had hippies who were like, just there for like the time. They're all dancing around. Everything's colorful. Everything was like nice and just like a beautiful vibe. And I remember we played and everyone was in tune. It was great. They were filming it and all that. And I'm looking out in the sky and like all this is going on. It's heavy. It's like the Obsessed were playing, but still, it was like a beautiful moment. And there was these two like birds just like dancing around in the sky. And then I talked to Wino about it afterwards too. And he says, "Yeah, I seen that same thing, man. Did you see that? Like the birds were just dancing. It was just like this hippy dippy bullshit, but it was like, a cool moment. But then flip that to Hellfest, and it's like 9,000 people. Some of them are there for the Obsessed, but there's like the black metal dudes and the death metal dudes, just like all mean. This is like this sea of mean faces. And then up in the sky, is just this fucking upside down cross through a chemtrail. So that was the difference between the two, you know what I mean? So I gotta say Freak Valley was much more pleasant to play. But yeah, it was crazy, man. It was just like Hellfest and then just chemtrail, and it was like perfectly in an upside down cross. It was like you couldn't have, you couldn't
And
have even done that.
yeah, and then you got a bunch of pissed off black metal kids
Yeah.
ah shit, come on.
And Wino even makes a comment in the middle of the set too. It's like they can poison us from the sky, but they can't take rock and roll from us or whatever. But yeah, so it was completely different vibes. But yeah, Freak Valley for me, man. That was such a cool. Like everyone there was so cool. And then yeah,
Where's that one at? Where's Freak Valley at?
shit, man, my geography's bad. I know the next day we went to the Geiger Museum, so I'm going to say it's in Switzerland
Okay.
or a neighboring country. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm probably wrong. I'm sorry if I offended everyone, but I
Yeah.
think it's Switzerland or Belgium or some shit. I don't know, whatever.
Somewhere over there.
Somewhere over there. Yeah.
All right. I'll have to
But
look
go to
into
Freak
that.
Valley. That's great.
Go to Freak Valley. So Hellfest is one of those festivals for me. Like that's a bucket list festival that I'd really like to just go and check out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know how much it costs, but you get a lot for your money, like of all different types. It was cool for me too, actually, because Porcupine Tree played, and that was the first of their reunion. So I'm a huge fan of that. They threw some good prog metal in there as well. So I think it was a Pucifer played, and then the Obsessed, and then immediately after Porcupine Tree played their first show in like 13 years. So I dropped my guitar and then ran like a mile to go see them. And that was really cool. Yeah, and then who else? Iron Maiden, and then Shiga played later in the evening. So
Wow.
yeah, it was good.
They have, I say this obviously from being in the States, but I'm like, I look at their bill and I feel like they almost always have a shit ton of bands that I'm like, man, I would love to see that. I'd love to see that, man. And all of them together would be fantastic.
Yeah, totally. That was my first experience ever being like even in a crowd that big though. Like I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to go up to see this, and like moving through, and like you're moving through this crowd trying to get up to the front, but then all of a sudden, if you don't want to be there, if you have claustrophobia or anything like that, you're really stuck in a crowd. Like I never experienced anything like that before. It's like fuck, okay, I need to get. I don't
Yeah.
want to be here for whatever reason. I want to be somewhere else. It's going to take you like 25 minutes to get through.
Well,
So
so Louder Than Life, last year, I think 180,000 people were there.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. It was insane. And the way they have it set up is like if you made it to the side or all the way up to the rail,
Mhm.
they had like a walkway cleared. You
Right.
had to hop the rail, but they would just, you'd have like a free path out, and it was, God, it was so insane. Like I had a buddy, they came in town. They're like, "Hey, Limp Bizkit's playing. Let's go see him." And I'm like, "Cool, have fun, right?" Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang out over here. And he's a big dude. He's 6'2" or 6'3" and probably 200, 280, 290.
Oh,
He's walking up to the front of the stage, him and another buddy and their wives, and he's leading the way. And while he's walking, someone grabbed his leg and ripped his freaking shoe off.
wow.
Like, what the hell are you doing?
Jesus.
Uh, yeah, sometimes the big crowds aren't so much fun.
Yeah.
But what how big is Hellfest like as far as attendance?
Man, I don't know. To be honest with you, it's like in the tens of thousands. I'll get the number wrong, but it was definitely the biggest one I played. I mean, we were on the festival stage. Like, it's not like everybody who was there was there.
Right.
But from what I heard, it's like nine or so when you're playing at that stage. So still a considerable amount. Like, you know, it's the sea of heads that, everyone talks about or whatever. It's like you're looking here or there. It's just people, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Shit, to look out over, 9,000 people watching the band is like, hell yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty
cool.
cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can only imagine like what was it when like Metallica and Pantera and everyone played that Russian concert. That
Yep.
was like 1.7 million, I think they said.
Right. That's such a cool video, man. Like the classic Domination video from
Yeah.
Pantera, the way they shot that. It's such an epic piece of music video.
Yeah, the sea of people it's insane.
Mm.
I couldn't even imagine. Like you have over 1 million people there. How the hell do the people in the back even hear what's going on?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
It's crazy.
yeah. Uh, what show are you looking most forward to this year?
Um, I'm looking forward to. We're playing a party with COC later in the year. That's gonna be cool.
Hold on. Headbangers Boat?
No, but
Damn.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's with that's Lamb of God's cruise, or
Yep.
yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think was it Lamb of God, Death Clock, Poison the Well, COC, I Hate God, Napalm Death, Soulfly. There's a lot of really good bands on that.
Are you playing? All right, so are you going?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Have you done a boat before? Or
Nope. I'm,
oh,
I'm
that'll be fun, man.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love, like COC and I Hate God or they rank up there for me. And as soon as I saw those two, I was like, I'm not gonna miss it.
Cool.
I talked to Jimmy Bauer last night and
Oh yeah,
really excited to hear some new I Hate God. They just started writing.
awesome. Yeah,
Like now you guys have played with I Hate God, right?
yep, a bunch. Yeah, they're really good friends with them. Jimmy and Wino are really tight.
Right
All
on.
of them are, but
Yeah.
he like what was just down for his wedding and all that. So they're good buds.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's I'd I would pay to see that tour, The Obsessed and I Hate God,
Oh yeah,
probably quite a few times.
yeah. We just done one. Oh, but that was Europe though. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll have to do it over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the last European tour we had a week or so in the middle with Eyehategod, and then we finished together at Desert Fest, which is also a really good one, by the way. Desert Fest. I got to see King Buffalo, who I absolutely love.
They King Buffalo was just here with Resin, I think.
No, cool. Yeah,
And
the burden of restlessness. That album when that came out was just like, it's during the middle of COVID or whatever, but just everything about the lyrics was just like, yep, this is like the perfect album for my life right now. And I listened to like nothing but that for months. And then so it's like a very special album in my psyche. So yeah, I'd never seen them live though, so that was cool. Play with them at Desert Fest.
it's kind of cool how, you can listen to a piece of music, whether it be a song or a whole album, and you connect to it emotionally, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that emotion is, and you hear it and you remember.
Oh, totally. Like the smell of the room, like what you were thinking about that entire month prior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's my favorite thing about live music is going and when you're actually in the environment and everyone's just enjoying it, whether the I'm going to say whether the band's good or bad just because of a band I saw at Louder Than Life that I'm not a fan of, but it was I'm not going to name them, but everyone there was just totally into it, and I couldn't help but just look around and smile and think no one gives a shit. They don't
Yeah.
care what color you are, what your fucking religion is. They
Mhm.
they don't care. We're
Right.
we're here in the moment just enjoying this as the human fucking race.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I had that moment at Hellfest too. It's like the whole power metal thing. Like to me, that's so corny beyond belief, right? Like I couldn't even imagine listening to that shit. You know what I mean? There's nothing about that that turns me on whatsoever. But when I was there, looking like we had this spot where we could kind of like look above and see the crowd and the band, and just seeing, 100,000 people or whatever. I can't remember the name of the band, but they were just so into this band and the really cheesy anthemic lyrics and stuff like that. But just seeing like how they were connecting and do that whole thing, I was like, okay, yeah, have it. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
guys do it, and you're all having this great time together. It's yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Like
for
you
sure.
don't you go to a show to forget about all of the bullshit and be there in the moment. And that's uh it's been like that for me as long as I can remember. My first concert was Michael Jackson,
Oh, really?
and it was I always say it's 1984, but it might have been 83, right? It He played in Detroit and I was probably 7. Um and I don't really remember the show, but I remember the feeling of being at the concert, and I was enthralled with the performance.
Mhm.
So now I'm always hunting, man, I got to go see that. Man, I want to go see a band and have that performance, and it's
Right.
nice when you find a band that's got great tunes and are super tight on stage and you
Mhm.
know, blow up the outside world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's also, especially great when there's a band without all the production that can do that. You know what I mean? You're in a small room, there's like, maybe even less than 10 people there, but there's just something really magical about this band that is just, does that same thing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I was actually just at a show a couple of months ago. Two like regional bands. One of them is called Fairy Ring. The other is called
Oh
Blessed.
yeah,
Oh,
awesome.
yeah,
Very, they're cool.
yeah, uh, super cool. The other one's called Blessed Black.
Mhm.
And
Someone was just telling me to listen to them. You're the second person this week who's told me to listen to Blessed Black. I gotta check that out. Yeah.
fuck yeah, yeah, um, they're from like the Cincinnati area, and I'll tell you, dude, if you start from the beginning and listen, Murphy, who sings, it's the first band he's ever fronted, and you can hear him get more comfortable with each like album. Currently they're working on like 4 volumes of a seasons session. So every one is like 3 songs.
Mhm.
Or so far they've been 3 songs, and it's like they wrote one and recorded in the fall, then they wrote and recorded in the winter,
Mhm.
and then they'll do one in the spring and one in the summer. And holy shit, it's so good.
That's great.
Like,
I'll have to check that out.
yeah, I can't get over it. Like I message him all the time, just like, holy shit, dude. Why aren't you guys bigger than what you are? But
Right.
you know,
Yeah. It's always crazy that when you're so passionate about a band and they just don't have the recognition they deserve. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Have you ever listened to the band Errata?
Mm-mm.
No. Yeah, that to me is criminal. It's like, sorry, something just happened on my phone. Yeah, Errata, Croca too on my shirt here. Just like world class. You know what I mean? And it's great for you because you get to enjoy them for whatever it is, $10 a ticket with nobody bothering you in front of you. But it's like, how aren't you playing for fucking millions of people a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you see those bands, you're like, man, I really hope that you guys just have all the success in the fucking world.
Yeah.
because the song structure's there, and then like literally to see Fairy Ring and Blessed Black on the same bill play together was
Mhm.
like both of them are just they're so tight, great live bands. They're actually both going to play that festival in Lexington.
Oh, cool.
I think that'll be God, that'll be so freaking awesome.
Right on.
Can't get here soon enough. You should come down for it.
Yeah. What's it called again?
It's called Legalize Lex.
Legalized Lux. All right, cool.
Yeah. You can crash with me. I'll drive.
All right, awesome.
And it's just one day, so it'll be quick. Uh, other than that, I don't think I have any other questions, man.
Cool. Well, this was my first interview with the Obsessed. So
Rock and
we go.
roll. Jason, thank you. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your night to come hang out and chat music and to hear about your experiences and the recording of Gilded Sorrow. I man, I hope that thing sells a lot. It's such a good, solid album, and I think you really add you know, a, a fullness to the band,
Thanks, man.
to an already great band,
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. I was such a big fan of the Obsessed. I was like, I just don't want to fuck with anything. I just want to be a part of it. And it's I'm glad it's people like it. So
Hell yeah. I think a lot of people will. All right.
cool,
Have yourself a great night. I'll see
bro.
you on the road.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Yep. See ya.